Hello and welcome to today's video. We're going to go over the meta shifts or lack thereof in champion usage for Lol Esports so far this season. Through 15.6, we're on 15.7 now, 2507, whatever you want to call it. And so that's not complete, but here we can kind of go and look and see what's been played pretty consistently over the season thus far, from patch to patch, rule set to rule set. So, to start the season, we had Skarner at the top. Skarner remains one of the most played champions throughout the entirety of the split. It actually is top 3 across 5 of the 6 patches to start the season. So Skarner obviously very dominant. A pick that is must ban for the most part. I know I go against the grain with most viewers, I guess, when it comes to what I think is strong and what isn't, because I factor in how much a champion is banned, because a champion that is banned means it's stronger than what you're seeing on the Rift versus, what you see on the Rift. A lot of people like to do just what's picked. I actually look at the entirety of the sample. Kalista, also very heavily picked in AD carry. It is one of the most picked champions across, well, not most picked, sorry, most prioritized champion throughout the first 6 patches altogether. Keep in mind, this is Worlds qualifying regions. I do not care about ERL, CK, PCS Academy, whatever the fuck. We're just talking about who is playing what at the top level, the teams that could qualify to Worlds. So Kalista is actually more consistently higher in prio than anything, at least through the first 6 patches. Everyone focuses on this, that, and the third, but Kalista is definitely that champion. Vi, very common jungle pick. We see it in the top, on every top dozen. Each patch here we have a dozen champions listed, various amount of games played. Probably something to talk about too. The first 3 patches, everyone was pretty much playing on those patches, so we have 130 to 160 games on each. But then patches 4, 5, not very many, first stand being a part of that. And then we return to play on 15.6 with over 100 matches. So, Vi, commonly picked across the group. Varus as well. Does Varus ever drop out? Yes, it does. So on patch 14.4, we see Varus drop out, but also we see the games played drop from 156 to 42, which indicates what? Not everybody was playing on that patch, right? So the players that may like Varus, high priority on Varus, aren't playing. It's not being picked or banned. It returns to the top dozen on 15.5, and then 15.6. It is the highest prioritized champion across all of them. So it returns to form. K'Sante, a very common pick, of course. Very easy, safe pick in the top lane. That and Ambessa, we see both of them in the top. Well, K'Sante is top dozen on the first 4 patches. Ambessa, actually isn't there. That was Rumble. The glare is fucking with me. Ambessa's here. Ambessa comes in on 15.2. It's high on 3. Drops out on 4. Returns on 5. So Ambessa is one of those champions that's 3rd or so in priority in top lane. 3rd to 5th in alternating back and forth. Rumble, a common pick that remains in the highest priority across all patches on this board here. 54%, 52, may drop to 42 here, but still remains in the top dozen. So Rumble, safe top lane pick, carry-oriented top lane pick. Ashe, 80 carry. We've seen Ashe touched in these patches as well, buffed and nerfed if I recall correctly. A common pick on 15.1, but then doesn't return for the rest of the way here. So you could say that was shifted out of the meta. Corki, a pick in both 80 carry and mid to start the season. Went more mid lane in patch 15.2. And then we see here, Corki is out, right? So Corki is nerfed out of the meta. So Ashe and Corki, so far so good. Victor, the only mid lane pick, pure mid lane pick in the top dozen on 15.1. Well, Victor is out of it the whole rest of the way. Now, we're seeing some Victor being picked now, but in priority, it is not one of the top picks through 15.6. Poppy, big flex, of course, heavy support pick on 15-1. And we're trying to look here. Poppy returns, yes, support on 15-3. So 15-2, Poppy is dropped out. Poppy's here. It's here once more. And then it's a jungle pick on 15-6 mainly. So we're seeing it change. I believe on one of these patches as well, technically, in terms of picks, it was tied in top lane. And that's what's going to happen with Poppy. A very, like I said, very flexible pick. We can see it in top, jungle, and support with relative ease for the majority of players. Nocturne, a jungle pick. It returns to the top in 15-4. One has to wonder how many players, like whatever region's playing here is just a Nocturne favored region in general. Jace, top pick. I think it is in the top. Yeah, across the board. Jace remains up there. We saw Jace obviously being a disgustingly strong pick to start the season. Even at only 40%, it rose to 52, 39, 48, 42, and then all the way up to 73% now. Now, the champions that kind of show up that are new across the season, we see Ambessa, Ezreal comes in on 15-2. Ezreal is back, I know now, yeah. So Ezreal is high on 15-2, then drops out 3-4-5, returns on 15-6. Zyra, common jungle pick, picked on 15-2, very high priority on 15-3, and then drops out once again. Rel, common support pick. We also see it seldom in the jungle now. I think it's kind of been nerfed out of the jungle, but a common pick on 15-2. One of those support. There's actually the most picked support on 15-2, priority-wise. 15-3, Poppy returns, like I said. Aurora, mid lane. We see Aurora picked in top as well. Very carry-oriented solo lane pick. It stays on 15-4 and then drops out as mid lane becomes less centralized on one pick as this goes along here, because we only see one mid laner on 15-1 and then one mid laner on 15-6 in the top dozen. So the mid lane meta returning to a more diverse champion selection. Azir is picked a bit on 15-3, 15-5. We go to 15-4. Nocturne returns. Yone coming into play. We've seen Yone nerfed, buffed, changed here or there. I think it's even being changed on 15-8 as well. That video will come out Thursday. But a common pick on 4 and 5. Sejuani, very common facilitator jungle, touching the meta on 15-4. Rise as well. Obviously, a very a very polarizing pick in mid lane. Some players can do it really well and some cannot. 15-5, Varus coming back into play. Talia joining the fray. Talia matching the Rise, being able to get around the rift, make things happen. Azir returning, Ambessa, and then Maokai. Sejuani drops out. Maokai comes in. Maokai, of course, a very safe jungle pick with the ulti, as well as can be used in the support role, and to a lesser extent top lane. 15-6, Gwen. So Gwen ends up disgusting on 15-6 and remains disgusting. It is a very OP champion right now. That is a very strong champ indeed. Alistar, 15-6, joins as the top prioritized support. And then last on here, Nefari. So Nefiri, a new champion from a couple years ago that needed a bit of, adjusting, but now is in the pro meta. Oftentimes we see a brand new champion released by Riot, and it ends up OP, and they're like, hell, we got to kind of give these teams a break here before we put it out there on the Rift, because this champion here is game breaking, right? But then you have champions like Briar, and then champions like Nefiri, and they're pretty much non-existent. You have a champion like Ambessa that's in the meta. Mel was in the meta to start the season. Of course, we go back through the last couple of years and cite others that are, immediately like must pick or ban, right? But Nefiri was not. Now Nefiri joins the meta. It's still the meta in the meta right now across 15-7. I think it's being nerfed on 15-8, and I think that's kind of a shame. Just because the champion hadn't been picked. I mean, I think Fisher picked it in mid lane last season as a meme. Uh, it's nice to see diversity. Champions that we've never really seen before in the meta enter the meta. I mean, hell, never for Nefiri. I mean, we say that loosely for some champions. Oh, I've never seen this champion one. But then you look back, it's like, well, 6 years ago that champion was picked, and it's like, but now in a case like Nefiri, that champion's not picked at all, and finally got an opportunity to be on the Rift. So, I don't know. In this video, just going with the flow here, trying to look at what has changed over the season thus far in terms of the most prioritized champions in LOL Esports. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.